Hello, and today on my quilting tutorial I'm going to be talking about the sewing machine, feet, and accessories. Here are a list of the feet that I will be talking about today, and also a list of the accessories. I'm going to start with some of the accessories here. First, I'm going to start by talking about the quilter. And basically the quilter hooks onto the back of your presser foot and it acts as sort of a guideline to your sewing, such as stitch in the ditch or the walking foot or what have you. A few of the next things I will be talking about are attachments. These are a needle pin, thread pin. It goes on the back of the sewing machine. Basically it holds the thread, of course, just like that. And then a cap will go on it just like this. And you can just see it acts as to hold down the thread on the needle pin, or not needle pin, the thread pin. And I have this in a few different sizes here. I have this smaller size here, and I also have a larger size for, of course, bigger spools of thread. And put these over here and just show you this thread pin one more time. And it just hooks onto the back of the sewing machine. The next things that I'm going to be showing you about here are going to be needles. I have a couple of different sets here. I have a quilting needles, which I use a lot of, and then I also have universal needles. The universal needles will technically work for any sewing machine if the needle is the same shape. These are the sewing quilting needles that I use most of the time. My sewing machine is color coded, so that's why those needles are pink. The first foot I'm going to show you about here is called the zigzag foot. It is for straight sewing, triple stitch, stretch stitch, saddle stitch, zigzag, terracotta, and niche stitch. That's a lot to say. It has an open hole here on the front, as you can see, and a clear toe box area where you can see what you're actually sewing on. And I use that foot a lot, not as much as I use some of the others, but a lot. The next one I'm going to be showing you about is the over edge foot, and it basically is like a serger stitch, so it just seals the edge of the fabric. The next foot is a zipper foot, and it's pretty self-explanatory. It's for sewing on a zipper, and you can see that there's openings on either side, and that's basically so you can kind of hem each side of the zipper there by repositioning the needle. This is a satin stitch foot. It is for sewing on buttons, backtracking, decorative stitching, cross stitching, appliquing, smocking, and of course the satin stitch. It has an open foot there, but not as open as this one, which these are both satin stitch foot. Just one has an open toe area and one has just like a clear see-through type thing. The next foot I'm going to show you about here is the blind hem foot, and basically what it does is it basically does blind hems on pants, on curtains, on pillowcases, on skirts, anything that you need to put a hem on, that's what it does. Let's see, the next foot I have here is the straight stitch foot, and it has a singular hole here, as you can see, and it is solitarily for straight stitching, no decorative stitching, no zigzagging, all that jazz. It has a single hole for straight stitch. The next foot that I have here is the overcast foot, and it's similar to the over edge foot. It basically hems or serges the side of fabric to keep it from fraying. The next foot that I have is the buttonhole foot. It is basically for making buttonholes, and you simply insert the button in the back like this, and you just slides up and down. So basically you slide it open, pop your button in, close it, and if you watched the last tutorial you saw I had a drop down thing on the back of my sewing machine, and that's where these little guidelines come into play, and that hits that paddle on the back of my sewing machine and it makes the hole however what size. This is called an embroidery foot, and it slides up and down just like this. And I use it for free motion quilting and for a lot of specialty stitching and appliquing. You can also use it for appliquing. I have an open toe one and I have a closed toe one, and basically I use these feet a lot for free motion quilting. Some more of the quilting feet that I use here, these are some more very important ones actually. This one here is a walking foot, and right here is where that quilter goes, where you use for like a guideline. But you attach this part here to the presser foot, and that secures the walking foot onto your sewing machine. And I'll just show you where this quilter comes into play. You just slide it back here, and it acts as a guideline. So if you want it like an inch apart or 2 inches apart, or however long, wide, or what have you want apart, that's how you measure it. And once you attach it and everything, it tightens up on here. Now, as you're quilting, this really helps you a lot because it basically grabs the top fabric and the bottom fabric at the same time when this lever lifts up, and it allows both the top and the bottom to move at the same time. But basically that hooks onto the needles, the screw that holds the needle in place, and as the needle comes up and down, it lifts these feed dogs here up and down, and that allows them to grab the top fabric. But when they come down, the bottom feed dogs come up and they sandwich the fabric in between them, and they pull them at the same time, allowing the top and the bottom to move at the same time. And that's that one. The next one that I have here is the stitch in the ditch foot, and as you can see, there's a black metal piece that goes through the bottom here, or goes through the middle, and it runs in the seam line of your sewn quilt top, and that allows you to have a straight line hidden in the ditch, which is technically your seam, on your quilt top. The next one I have here is the gold of quilting, actually, because it is a 1/4 inch seam foot, and you can see the black sheeting here on the side that you butt your fabric up against, and that allows it to have a perfect 1/4 inch seam allowance. And no matter what quilting pattern you use, it is going to require a 1/4 inch seam. And when I got this foot, it was like I was unstoppable. This foot literally made all of my quilting so much simpler, because it is, every piece that I've sewn is the exact 1/4 inch seam that it requires of you when you're quilting. And if you do not have this foot, you should run out and buy it. It's probably like $16 max, so I recommend getting this foot.
No matter where I go, there's always one thing that I know, that it's you. This much is true. No, I can't complain, 'cause it's so easy to maintain things in my life now.